Hello, folks, and welcome to episode 165 of The Breakdown. Once again, I'm Mark Reilly, and I'm joined by Ben Geary to discuss all things rugby and obviously the latest news and scare to the Munster side, as there have been 9 new cases of COVID within the camp. So we'll start off with that, I suppose. We'll go through a few. We'll also talk about the World Rugby Player of the Year nominees, and I suppose what effects COVID will have on Munster and the European Rugby Championship as a whole going forward. But yeah, Ben, what about the news? What does this mean to you in the long term for the competition? And does it worry you?
It does worry me to an extent. Like even we saw last year that there's no rules against extending the competition. Do you know, if like the games that were postponed both last weekend and this weekend coming, like those games will be played eventually. You know, it might be towards the end of the year. It'll be in a couple of weeks anyway. But I think the big thing is just the logistical nightmare that Mr. Van Graan has to deal with now with him and his squad and his staff as well.
It's absolutely in no way ideal. Like, I mean, it's just it's gotten from bad to worse effectively within 3 days. So that's the problem. At first, everyone was like, "It's disheartening. We don't get to see the game." Now it's just like, right, we actually need to get our team home and safe.
Yeah.
So
we might have a squad this time.
Priorities have shifted massively. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, like, I'll ask you because I mean, one, I'm stuck with you. There's no one else to ask really. So, but I'll ask you because I am intrigued to hear what you have to say. Did you think this was? And I know hindsight is 2020, but do you think that this was ever a good idea? That it was gonna work? Did you think it was gonna work throughout the whole season? That we were gonna have plain sailing?
I was actually speaking to someone about this recently. Ever since the South African teams have ventured into the Pro 14, as it was at the time, or as it became when the South African teams first arrived, there's always been kind of an asterisk beside them. Like either they haven't performed to a good enough standard, either their group of players wasn't as good as the groups of players in regards to players with international credentials and whatnot, but they were always kind of, it was almost as if that they were allowed to compete rather than they deserved to compete, which might sound a bit harsh, but it kind of was the feeling around the competition. It didn't shake up who the front runners were for the competition, who the favourites were. The favourites were always, whether it be Munster, Leinster, what have you, but
Leinster, yeah.
Leinster, yeah. But it's, I mean, I think this is kind of the icing on the cake to one regard. Like the South African teams rarely kind of got momentum going in Super Rugby because of the toll that whether it be the time differences or the jet lag or just the difficulty of having the fixtures in South Africa and in Australia and New Zealand. Just created so many problems that they felt it was easier to work off the European system because of the time zones. But it still hasn't really worked out for them, which is strange because like South Africa nationally are very, very good, but for some reason their club teams just cannot seem to get momentum. And this is going on a couple of years now. This is going on since far before they left Super Rugby. So it's interesting. I think with COVID in mind, it's not ideal. And of course, needless to mention, we're not doctors, so we won't get into the technical side of things. We won't be advising people what to do, what not to do. But it seems like the kind of task that would be far too difficult for any head coach to manage. Like if you,
it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
like putting a
as much as putting a plan for this.
Yeah, like putting dealing with COVID on Van Graan's plate when he already is probably the busiest manager in the URC at the moment. Is just must be an absolute nightmare.
I think he's just like Larkham, COVID.
Larkham gone. RG's injured again.
Throw it out this week while I can take it. He's obviously like Joe, and you gotta, like, I mean, that's part and parcel of such a Joe. important job, but it's just, it's a struggle. It's tough. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, okay, so as far as I know, the matches in South Africa are gone.
Yeah, they're postponed until further notice. I think they're set to be played in a couple of weeks. There's dates set for them, but that hasn't been the news I've been paying the most attention to. The most attention has just been the amount of cases within the Munster camp and what in the name of God are they going to do come December when they have to go travel to Coventry to take on Wasps. So
it's like, I don't know, is that happening now? I think I think there's a spanner in the works now, big time, and I don't know if that's going to go ahead either. But like, I don't know. I just think the whole thing is in jeopardy now. I just don't know how are we going to schedule this like to some normality without it kind of being a bit of a I'm not going to say the word, but an S show effectively.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think is the best? Actually, that's a good one. What's your solution, Ben? What are your plans?
Yeah, if they give me the job, if they give me Van Grand's job for a week,
you'd hand it back.
Hey, what would I do with it? I don't know. Like, I think the main thing obviously is player and staff safety and health.
100%.
So if the safest thing to do is to keep them in South Africa for another 2 weeks anyway, 10 days, in order to fully recover and get the all clear before traveling home to Ireland. Like, that's probably what's going to happen anyway. But when you think of the amount of time that they're going to have to return home and whatever they need to do, and then begin preparations for a Champions Cup game, like even before the games were postponed and before people tested positive, like it was going to be tight anyway. So doing that in an even more condensed amount of time is just going to be impossible. So I think they might need to put their money where their mouth is, and well, that's a harsh term, but they're going to have to showcase how good the squad depth really is by bringing up academy players. I saw on Twitter today, I think it was Murray Kinsella, he put together a team that Munster could put out, and it's actually kind of exciting. Like, you see the likes of Scott Buckley getting in there, Connor Phillips getting in there, including all the Irish internationals who didn't go on the tour.
I'm delighted you said that, though, because something like this, as many negatives as there is, and we obviously, again, like you said it there, we obviously hope, we pray for the health of every individual in the squad. That's
of course,
first and foremost. But it does provide an opportunity for those other players in the squad, so it is exciting.
Absolutely. And like, it's just one game, not to be diminishing the importance of a Champions Cup game, but Munster have lost our group games in the past, and I think in 2006 we lost. We lost way too many games early on. I think the structure was probably different back then, but I think we lost all but like 2 of our group games or something like that, something along those lines. But which is what winning teams usually don't do when they go on to win the whole thing. So I mean, like, it could work out. It could just be one game. It might work in Munster's favor, but my God, it must be a nightmare for Van Graan. He must be sick.
100%. The weird thing that I thought now is, the Omicron variant, don't even know if I'm saying that right, this new the new fella on the block. So
sounds like a transformer.
It does. It effectively is, really, isn't it?
More or less.
But what interests me, so I was just looking this up earlier, so there's no indication that that's the variant that was identified within the squad. So do you think that this is it? Like, what's your gut feeling? Do you think it could be just simply a lack of, I don't know, like a lack of, and I'm not saying Munster players aren't adhering to the guidelines. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, do you think that this is an effect of us being out of lockdown for so long that this is bound to happen? If you get what I mean?
Yeah, probably. And I suppose there is a sense that, which is, I mean, it's still very true, but like, if they're young, fit guys who are, vast majority of them are probably fully vaccinated, they probably thought that the chances of them getting it was very low. Again, I don't want to get into the scientific side of things, but I'm sure when you're in that situation and you're in a camp with a squad, You're talking about rugby. You're talking about the task at hand.
Yeah, you're not getting
Yeah.
on a plane looking to the boys ahead of a big game, and you're not going like, lads, negative?
Yeah.
Negative?
Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, how are you feeling? But like, and I think me and you are probably guilty of it. Like, here we are talking about rugby for the past couple of weeks. It's almost as if we're too tired to stay talking about COVID. So you can sympathize with that side of it too. You can kind of see maybe they did drop their guard a little bit, but I don't think anyone's at fault. I think it's literally just an example of being unlucky,
I'm not putting fingers. I'm just trying to find where did, like, because that 9 cases that spread like wildfire. And I know we know COVID does, and we know it is that's the way it is. Yeah, I don't know. That put me by surprise now, to be honest. When I saw 9, I was like, right.
Yeah. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is a lot. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like, if you had to tell me now, do you think the Wasps game will go ahead?
I think it will. I think it's the structure of the Heineken Champions Cup is much more rigid than the URC. So I think if any game is to not be postponed, it will be that one. I feel like you can postpone URC games, and it's much more flexible. There's much more room to
slightly work around it. Yeah,
slightly work around them. Yeah, but I think there will come a point where the group stages will have to finish, and if it does get postponed, it'll be played again very quickly. It won't be postponed more than maybe a week or two. Because if you get to that stage, because they have to play Wasps again. Yeah. So I don't know. They could postpone it a couple of days maximum, but they mightn't see
twice in the one day. So
they mightn't see any value in postponing it a matter of days. So and Wasps. It's different now. The Premiership is domestic, really, but they're not getting flights to South Africa. But I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Not to kind of go over this because we've already nearly spent 15 minutes on this, but I just want to. That's where I'm slightly being not negative, but I was just like, the English Premiership aren't doing this, and obviously the URC is exciting. There's no doubt in that. The addition of these South African teams, it ups the competition, and everyone wants to see Munster. Like, that is part of the disappointment as well. A fully fit firing Munster squad taking on a fully fit firing South African Bull squad.
Bulls.
I just think that's what the URC was created to do, and everyone was looking forward to that. But at the same time, you have to have a sense of realism, and I just don't know if this year was the year to do it. Now, I don't know what they had in place. I don't know what plans it was. I don't know. I could be completely wrong here and saying they should have waited, whatever. But I just, as soon as I heard at the start of the year, I was like, Munster would be traveling to South Africa to play such and such in these games over there. I was just like, okay, we'll see. Because I was kind of like, okay, it's kind of wishful thinking in my head.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like with the amount of cases in our country, like alone, never mind. Let's add these new teams coming in, and we'll travel to them, and in particular, as everyone knows, South Africa as well.
Yeah,
it's not like we picked. We're traveling. We've added 3 new English teams, or have left the Premiership. Now they're in our league. This is in South Africa, where everybody across the world knows how severe cases are, and the new variant is in the country. So I don't know. Look, I don't know.
And even when you look at the
glasses and go on a rant, but like,
I know, but like, you're making a lot of sense too. Like, when you look at the Lions tour, like, those 3 tests were played in lockdown. The club games were all played in empty stadiums because South Africa was in a lockdown.
Yeah.
Even when you think of like the Autumn Nations series just finished, and like, you had teams coming in and out of the country, and then Munster had to up their routes and go after South Africa for 2 weeks, and then come home and then go to Coventry. It's not exactly. It's not like the South Africa tour for the 2 games wasn't the only challenge within the context of COVID that they had to navigate. So that's IRFU as a whole, obviously, but Munster as well now seem to be kind of getting the I don't know, they seem to be getting kind of the worst part of the deal too. But But I would hate to be Johan van Graan. My sympathies to him, to be honest, because
my sympathies to everyone. I mean, imagine even just the fact that you were looking forward to going to a game, playing in a match, one of the most exciting matches, as we said, in however long, South Africa taking off a South African team, and immediately now you're isolated.
Yeah.
In a hotel, that's not fun for anyone. There's no party there. So, look, I suppose we've covered that for as much as we know, because obviously we're, along with the rest of the world, waiting on further updates.
Only finding out, of course,
information. So we can only really leave it at that for now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm exactly positive with my outlook towards it going forward. But look, sure, it is what it is, and we will deal with it as we dealt with every other problem that has been thrown our way in the last 2 years. So.
Yeah. So problems seem to be still coming. So
right, will we talk a bit of rugby? Fancy that?
Yeah.
Rugby?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Leinster, Ulster. Have Ulster set a blueprint on how to beat Leinster, or was it a one-off game and a great performance? 2010, good win.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think Ulster definitely had a lot to prove. Like in my team of the week, I did a team prediction ahead of the Argentina game, and at 13 I put the one and only James Hume, and because like from watching that guy play for our Ulster and what he brings to not only their attack but their defense as well, like he's got a big bag of tricks, and I just feel like he hasn't quite been trusted on the international stage, and I think he enjoyed scoring that winner against the boys in blue, because I think like the other three provinces look at Leinster the same way, that Leinster are kind of the golden child, and I could go on. I don't want to be I don't want to be skating on thin ice now and saying this, but
you literally had 10 sentences in your head there that you're going to say. You're like, I'll go to stop.
Let's put the brakes on, a little bit. But
but I think everyone sees that. It's the way it is. When you're the top dog, you're there to be shot at, and like Leinster are the big boys in. I was gonna say Irish, but they're big boys in Europe, like so.
Big boys in Europe, absolutely.
So, it's like anyway, it's like United for years, and I love bringing this back up because I have to live in the past because we're so bad now. So
I have no choice. Yeah,
when we were being shot at, like that's kind of what you want. You want that as a champion, and you want people to be okay. We want what you have. We want your crown, and I think Leinster. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great performance against Ulster, and Ulster showed up. But you're going to have that every single week. Every single week, they're performing to be. We want to be E. It's not like I'm not saying it's no disrespect to Munster, but would Ulster have put in that performance against Munster? Possibly, I don't know. But I think the fact, like you said there, that it is Leinster that teams are like, lads, bodies on the line.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's prove a point here, and I think that's exactly what it is. So I mean, Leinster can't be on top of it every week as much as they nearly are. They can't be on top every week. So I actually don't know how to read into the game. I was watching the game with I had 1 point against, not
one.
Not that many. Yeah, only one. And, so I was watching it, and what I felt was kind of, I was like, this is inevitable. So when Henshaw gets that try, I think everyone's kind of like, nice one.
Here comes
really well, and you put up a good fight, but that's kind of it. And then Ulster just purely dominated again. And I thought from start to finish, I was actually massively impressed with Ulster in terms of how they, maybe it's a bit of a strong term, but I almost effectively think they bullied Leinster in a lot of ways. And it was refreshing to watch. It was weird. It was strange.
Yeah, I would agree with you, actually. And I know people probably will make the argument that it was kind of a 1.5 Leinster team rather than a first team, and it was, Ulster had a lot of players who were involved in the Irish camp who hadn't played, so they were still training and they were fresh, and there's lots of arguments you can make, but at the same time it was a home game. It was on the RDS.
I agree with there's factors, but there's no excuses.
No, exactly. That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But no, I was delighted by Ulster, and like Ulster had a lot of guys missing too. When you think of Balakoon was gone, who else off the top of my head? McCloskey was playing, Hume was playing. I believe Ian Henderson was playing. So they had a lot of their key guys there as well. But Leinster are very similar to England in many ways, I think.
Wow, you really like Leinster anyway.
No, geez, no, that's not what I'm saying. I love England, but like I think Stuart Lancaster is very set on Leinster playing the kind of game that Leinster want to play, and it's the opponent's job to kind of outplay them within the game that they want to play, if that makes any sense. I think Ulster did a very good job of wrestling the game out of Leinster's hands, and like we think they probably had most of the possession.
100%. That's what got me. It was sheer aggression. It was like, again, that's why I know it sounds stupid, but it was they kind of bullied them, and what I could not wrap my head around was how bullish they were at the breakdown. Excuse the pun.
Bullish. Exactly. And that seems to be the kind of game they want to play too. I hear this morning that Dwayne Vermuelan is after touching down in Ulster. He's after signing. He signed from straight from Toulon.
What are we doing?
He's a machine now, and his role with South Africa in particular is that he kind of organized their defensive line. He's just a massive asset at the breakdown and in defense, in probably arguably the best defense in rugby in the professional era. But like that guy coming to Ulster is just huge. Regardless,
massive.
Not just what he'll do with the ball in hand, but like the structure that he'll give them and the guidance that he'll provide.
Exactly. Yeah, everything that comes along with it. It's his leadership, effectively.
Absolutely. And I know we have two of our own in Dialende and Sneeman now, but Vermeulen is a great signing. He's a great signing, and I think he'll suit Ulster very, very well as well.
Couldn't agree more. And again, Munster, won't spend too much time on this because it's old news. But like, I just think Munster, it's either. I'm not saying it's either one.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? No. I am saying it's either one, but I don't know which one it is. So it's either lack of preparation by scouting department in Munster, whoever is looking into the players that we sign, or we have the worst luck in European rugby, because we signed these players. Snyman, a phenom, like Joe, the sheer size of him, like he like honestly, if he wasn't playing rugby, he'd be in Game of Thrones. He's a unit, right?
Yeah.
And he's something to stare at, and you're like, this player could be absolutely majestic for us going forward. Injured once, comes back, has 2 or 3 brilliant games. You're like, let's go, we've got it now. He's finally arrived. Injured again. Jason Jenkins,
same injury.
Jason Jenkins. Oh, look, could have something going here, and then injured again. You're like, right, I honestly don't know. Is it the weather in Limerick that's getting into his muscles and bones, or like what? I don't know what is going on. And Ulster now, you can be guaranteed that this signing will just kick off and it'll just be perfect for them. Like,
he'll be.
Do I sound bitter?
A lot. It's no, like, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, Munster have had some phenomenal signings. Like when you think of Doug Howlett, when you think of Paul Warwick, when you think of even the likes of Maffey. I know Francis Sahili didn't really take off, but he was a great signing. He was what Munster needed at the time. He was often the talking point when he was playing, even if they lost. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, even when you look at Ulster and they signed Marcel, I'm afraid of getting his surname wrong now, Marcel Coetzee, who's South African back row.
Yeah,
like he was injured very similarly to RG, because he had 2 quite lengthy injury hiatuses back to back. But then once he came back, Ulster stuck with him, which is of course a very risky and expensive decision to make. But Ulster stuck with him, and God, like he paid him back. He put in. I think he played a further 2 or 3 years after that, and like he was just immense for them. He really gave them their money's worth after that. So, maybe patience is all we need, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. And then again, like the Munster Academy is fantastic. Like there's really no weaknesses in the forwards, I don't think. Like Fineen is still fantastic. Who else is there in the second row? Like even the back row, Jack O'Donoghue, Tyke Byrne is immense, who plays both second row and back row. Like, there's plenty there. I know it would be great to have RG in it, but
these things happen. Don't get me wrong, of course, and like again, with negativity comes an opportunity and all that crack. But
Yeah,
it would be nice if they were fit. That's all I'm saying, Ben. It'd be nice
it
if
would
they.
be
Oh, it'd be
absolutely,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't mind
Absolutely.
it.
And even if we were to have a head holiday, it would be great if Munster could sign a second centre, a specialist second centre.
Yeah.
Because like obviously Chris Farrell is injured. It doesn't seem to be any clarity as to when he's coming back.
Right. No, yeah, actually, no, that's a good point you brought up because that's gone very quiet, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Nobody seems to know.
Yeah, no, there's been no
where he is
verification as to when he's returning or how he's getting on with his recovery or any of that. So
yeah,
I
there
don't know.
usually
Actually.
is.
Yeah,
It's usually the case. Like,
hopefully that's not bad news anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I had this conversation with someone there during the weekend, and they started laughing at me, which is, to be honest, 90% of my conversations kind of tend to go that route. But like, he was just laughing his head off. So I was like, I know we tried before, or supposedly tried before. Why don't we just try to get Bundy Aki?
Try get Bundy Aki.
Where's
Yeah, I heard
know
that was in the cards.
Apparently the IRFU blocked him for. I don't know if this is true. This is purely speculation on my part and where I've heard it. I just don't. Why don't Munster try to make these moves? Do you get me? Why can't I just don't know? Like literally, Leinster just go, Henshaw, how are you getting on?
Yeah, come here.
Move up to Dublin there, buddy. Yeah, sound.
Yeah, which was advised. The IRFU advised Leinster. Exactly. They told him he had to go to either Connacht. Oh, sorry, he was with Connacht. They told him he had to go to Ulster and Munster because Leinster had too many players, and he just went anyway.
Maybe I'm actually after answering my own question. Is that why Bundy Aki isn't allowed to go?
I'm not sure. Like,
would Ulster be like, hold on a minute, Joe? What are we, a feeder system here? So
yeah,
I don't know. Like, or Connacht, like, are we a feeder system? You just be like, well, you work for a few years, yeah. So
yeah, true, yeah, more the same.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, there's two things I'd say about that. Apparently, that Bundy was going to Munster a couple of years ago.
Okay, so this is So I heard that. That's what I heard, and I'm just
that was a thing. Yeah.
What happened?
I'm not sure. I think he tweeted. He was. Sorry, I'll start at the start. I think his contract had ran up at Connacht, and naturally there was a lot of offers made for him. Of course, he wanted to stay in Ireland because either he had made his first Irish cap or he was on the cusp of making his first
residency.
He was going to play for Ireland. So he had to stay within Ireland, and apparently there was a deleted tweet where Bundy Aki had thanked Connacht for all their years of hospitality, and he was looking forward, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but that he was looking forward to wearing red in the future. That tweet was up for a matter of minutes, and then he deleted it, and then it was announced a few days later that he had re-signed with Connacht. So like, that's fine, those things happen. It can get close. But then again, like, he's a specialist first centre. Ulster have a first centre in Stuart McCloskey. Leinster have a first centre in Bundy or in Robbie Henshaw, and we have a first centre in the World Cup winner in Dale Ende. So
yeah, sorry, I know you were talking about a second centre. That just popped into my head of talking.
Yeah,
I was like,
oh, but it's happened. Yeah, it's a conversation that isn't going away anytime soon either. I don't know if he actually will stay with Connacht for the rest of his career, but
I'm obviously not fully, like, I'm obviously missing something, because I just don't think, this sounds so harsh, but I feel like Munster don't take themselves as serious as they should, if that makes any sense. Like, I see Ulster making these moves, I see Leinster making these moves, and I'm just like, are we just happy to kind of stand out? Let's bring Zebo back for a return there.
Yeah.
And I love Zebo. Everyone loves Zebo. Zebo has talent, but is he really going to propel us to the next level? I don't know.
I don't know. And a lot of the talent seems to be coming from South Africa. And I know there's a link there, but you don't know, because there's a lot of guys who I'd say would be in the market for a move. Not even just in South Africa, but like, even when you think around, even when you think of former All Blacks, like the likes of Charles Piatow was amazing for Wasps, and then he went to Ulster and he was amazing for Ulster, and now he's amazing at Bristol. who else? I'm just thinking of backs now. I'm thinking of forwards coming into my head naturally. But
we should look at the fellas.
Who Faletau?
Yeah,
Who the Welsh? Back row.
That wouldn't raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah, even Lamapi, who went to France. I know there's money in France and stuff, but Munster, I agree with you in the sense that Munster aren't doing a great job of making themselves attractive for foreign talents, because that seems to be where the game's going. And all the other provinces are hopping on it, but we're not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Look, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I just want us. I'd love one big signing. I just love one big signing. I just pick the boys up, but we'll see. I wanted to ask you this for quite a bit, actually. So we went completely off from Ulster, Leinster there.
Go on.
But quickly, just back to it. Doak.
Nathan Doak, yeah.
What do you think?
Come half for. I think he's very mature for a guy his age, considering he just literally came. He's fresh out of the under-20 setup. I think he does a lot of things right that players his age usually don't do right. And that's not a criticism. It's just, players need time to develop, but he seems to have it. How old is John Cooney now? Do you know? Google it.
I'll get it up now. I'm not even going to guess. Because...
I'm not going to guess. I think he's the guts. He's in his 30s anyway. He's 31.
I was going to say 29. He's 31.
Yeah, he's 31, yeah. Because when you think that Doak seems to kind of offer a similar package to John Cooney, like Doak can kick, Doak can, he can run with the ball. He's obviously can pass the ball.
I suppose what I was asking is, any chance he could sneak in, or is it way too early? The Ireland squad.
Into an Ireland squad.
Let's say, just not even necessarily now as, straight into it, but just say if, someone got injured, someone got called up, Jack Carty was injured, can't go. Is Doak the next man up?
Yeah, do you know what? You can't rule it out. The likes of Luke McGrath now, who's always been in the fringe of playing for Ireland, hasn't really worked out for him. No. As we mentioned before, I think Conor Murray's time in an Ireland jersey is in question. I'll leave it at that.
Definitely. Well, his starting time, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Excuse me. But it's tricky.
In the future now, we see Healy and Doak turn it up.
Ben Healy and Nathan Doak.
It's for any eyes anyway, to be honest. Outhouse, our halfbacks with two sets of red hair. It would just be brilliant. It'd be the Irish half system.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if anything, Craig Casey is going to be a part of that Ireland squad going forward. Definitely in the Six Nations coming.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah.
I think Andy Farrell just sees money when he looks at Craig Casey, because he speeds up the tempo of the game immensely. The transition between breakdowns is just absolutely off the charts. So that's kind of seems to be what the game he wants to play anyway. So and I'm sure Doak can do it too. I'm sure Conor Murray could get good at it. I'm sure.
That's the only thing I disagree with. I don't think Murray could do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I was trying to seem positive, but
exactly, he's at the tail end of his career. He's not I know this sounds so, but a leopard never changes its spots. He is what he is, and he was a majestic player. That's what he is. He's not all of a sudden being going to speed it up now. A different player.
I know, and I think he would do very well in other international setups, but I just think the direction Ireland are moving in it's really not. It's not Joe Schmidt's Ireland anymore, from an attacking standpoint anyway. But I think it's interesting. I don't think anyone will blame him, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, but I don't think anyone will blame Murray if in the next year or two he took a contract overseas. If the US forked out for him, or France or wherever, but
anybody for taking a contract overseas.
Yeah, true.
Even if they're doing well for Ireland. It's a business. It's a business at the end of the day,
It is, of course. And I don't think he'd be sacrificing much either. He might have eyes now in the next World Cup, and that could be a goal of his. And so it should be, if that's where his head is. But my God, he could make a lot of money. Not to be getting too shallow now, but
it's not shallow. That's business. Yeah, it's the way it
His
is.
CV is just probably the best out of majority of scrum halves
100%.
who are on the market or who could be in the market in the future.
Yeah. Sure, that's the thing. I was worried would Zebo be slower when he came back because his pockets would be so full. You know, you just kind of you wonder what the pace would be like.
Yeah.
But you can't blame anyone.
He took less money to come to Munster.
Yeah, he did. He did actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was in Racing now. Racing is like a.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Well fed over there, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
his appetite has been quenched.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So Leinster Ulster in the long run, what's it shaping up like for you, the ORC, if it, of course, can actually sustain itself going forward? Who do you think will win it? Who's looking good?
It's a good question.
Leinster.
It's a very good question. I do think the ball is in Ireland's court. I think the four provinces are obviously Munster have their luck has gone from bad to worse, but
yeah,
I do think Ulster have a great shot at winning it. I do think Leinster, as usual, will just stay exactly where they were last year. But even looking at Connacht, like I love watching Connacht play rugby now.
Connacht have been brilliant.
It's just, and considering they put a good dent in Ospreys last Friday, which is a team who delivered Munster their first loss, and it was quite embarrassing.
But honest as well, should have beaten us.
Connacht absolutely, yeah, absolutely should have. Yeah, that try was a try that should have been disallowed, which I think the sportsman-like thing to do now is just agree and say, yeah, that shouldn't have been a try. But I think enough time has passed now to admit it. But but listen, I think they just need to. They're looking very similar to how they did in, I think it was 2015, 2014 when they won the Pro 14, when they last won it.
Yeah.
Just really good chemistry.
Yeah.
Just knowing what their strengths are, knowing how to get over the try line, the best way to do it. Like you see them taking risks, like you see them just poaching on a loose ball and kicking it over the try line, and just taking the opportunities as they come. Even being a little bit risky, like Mac Hansen's intercept against Ulster.
It's
very nearly didn't work out, but
I kind of think that's the fun of it. That's the whole point. It's so entertaining, and I think that's been the age-old argument against Munster, hasn't it? Really, to be honest,
a little bit, yeah.
And
you can kind of see where they're coming from too, can't you? But
100%, everyone has their styles, and I mean, pragmatism is effective. I mean, so it gets a job done. But we discussed this last week. Evolution of the game, entertainment becomes part and parcel of it. Everyone wants to see more high-scoring games, more risk-taking, better scores, and intercepts, and all this. And that's the only thing. Munster they're very safe in what they do, I find. So that's why Connacht, to me, like you were saying, are just so refreshing to watch. You're just like, this is exciting. But look, that's what makes it beautiful as well. Every team is different. And we'll see which system outlasts the other as we go along the season. But
that's the other side of the coin too. Like the entertaining game seems to be the one that's getting the results. So I mean, you kind of have to take a leaf out of their book at some stage if you're not, if you haven't already. So
I don't know. The Munster way it really isn't about taking leaves out of other people's books.
That's fair, actually.
Right. So 38 minutes. We shall move on to what I find highly peculiar. To put it, I don't know, Frank. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about this shortlist, to be honest. But World Rugby Player of the Year shortlist.
Yeah, let's get over it.
Who's done this? Who has who set this up? Because honestly, this is like, so we were talking before we went on for this breakdown. Myself and Ben were discussing the Ballon d'Or from last night. The whole thing was an absolute shambles, and obviously politics reared its ugly head once again. However, this one shocked me. Sorry there now if you heard that. World Rugby Player of the Year, right? So will I go through the shortlist, Ben? Shall I? Will I kick us off?
Do work away.
Right, here we go. So 4-man list. We have Antoine Dupont. No arguments.
Yes.
Good start. We like that. We're here for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Maro Itoje.
There's examples there, yeah.
Phenomenal with the Lions, been standout for England, leader, brilliant player. Yeah, shortlist, cool, no problems.
Just get over it. Just pull off the plaster. Just do it.
Michael Hooper and Semu Karevi. Like what? Michael Hooper, Semu Karevi. Like, I mean, I'm sorry now. Don't see it myself. What do you think? Why should the two of them not be there, and who should be there in their place?
I think, like it's kind of a hard thing to say why they shouldn't be there. I think I don't want to diminish their own achievements. But
but you're
at the same time, there's just so much. I just not that I'm going to take away from Karevi or Hooper's performance over the past year.
Yeah,
but there have been a lot more eyes on other players, if that makes sense. I think Lucanio Am for South Africa has just been absolutely immense.
Yeah,
like I think I can leave it at there. I think that's enough of an explanation. Like, the guy has literally probably been the most intelligent rugby player, both in attack and in defense. I think any international or club side would just love to have him, because he would make difficult games so much easier.
I have a really, really interesting question. Continue on with what you're doing. It's just I have this stored in the bank. Go on.
But yeah, no, the last bit is that he kind of sprinkles in a bit of just entertainment value in it as well. And I think for rugby fans, if you're a nitty-gritty analyzer of the game, or if you just love to watch the highlights, Lucanio Am is just an obvious choice. But go on anyway. Hit me with the question.
So you just mentioned entertainment value there, right? This is a bit of a crazy one. So if you had a dark horse, who would it be?
Ooh, it's a good question.
Because mine,
yeah, go on.
And I'm probably going to get a few eyeballs for this. Is Will Jordan?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like, he was nominated for
outrageous stuff, but I would just think, if we're talking about 1 year,
yeah,
who's done it better?
Yeah, Will Jordan is probably up there. I'd say Louis Rizamet as well, which they're both
okay. Yeah,
they're both Breakthrough Player of the Year nominees. So you kind of wonder. Will Jordan's probably going to get it. I think Zamet probably deserves it, but Will Jordan will probably get it just because.
But the stats alone,
stats
getting the actual talent that he has and the entertainment value and the pure finesse of his finishing and quality. Forget all of that. Just take out literally Google and just look at the stats. The kind of conversation in itself, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think any Irish players should be there? Because I do. Namely, only one.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Ken Darcy.
No, I think Furlong.
Oh, Tyke Furlong. Absolutely, actually, yeah.
A phenom. Like, he'd walk into any team in the world. I honestly believe that.
Absolutely, yeah. He would have been actually another example of someone who would be shortlisted anyway. I don't know if he would have won it. I feel like they just
I'm just
not pick
recognition more so than winning it necessarily.
Yeah, they tend to pick back rows, 10s, and whoever's scoring the tries if you're a winger or a fullback or whatever. But
Intermac.
Front rows don't get Intermac as well would have been another one.
Yeah.
Intermac probably would have been my dark horse a little bit.
I wouldn't argue with that, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe even Damien Pennell. Maybe not for World Player of the Year, but like
just on the list.
Yeah, on the list, I think. I know there's a lot of France there now, but it's hard to ignore France though. And I know they suffered losses against Scotland and Wales.
That's France. That is France, like.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Their trajectory is just
100%.
You can't ignore it, like. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think Tyke Furlong has just been. He's been a problem for anyone playing against him all year.
Well phrased, yeah.
He's been an issue. So, because you can't run into him if you have the ball. You can't let him get the ball.
Yeah.
Then again, if he doesn't get the ball,
that's sorry, go on. He's been a problem. There you go. That's the headline.
Put that on Twitter. Yeah, tweet that now before someone else takes it.
Get like one like, and I have to tweet.
Oh yeah, but listen,
I don't know.
It's funny. Like, I know Michael Hooper and Karevi. Like, Karevi has been playing. He hasn't played a lot of rugby for Australia, which is the where most of the question marks are. I think he suffered a bit of an injury. He plays most of his rugby in Japan. That does kind of create a few issues regards to logistics, and I don't think he finished off this year's rugby championship. He didn't play in part of the Autumn Nation series. It's tricky, and considering Australia are going through a particularly bad spell, they're kind of coming out of it now. But when the shortlist was revealed, they were in the depth of it.
And it's been a long enough bad spell as well, to be honest.
It's been a lengthy one for them, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they got the nod because of how they kept the team above water, so to speak, at a very difficult time, which maybe does deserve merit. But I don't think it deserves a World Player of the Year, to be honest. So
yeah, that's the thing. I'm not being harsh, and it's not like, obviously we recognize these players as great players, and that's why the arguments are hard to have, because in order to say, oh, I think Furlong should have got in, or someone else, etc., you kind of have to diminish and take away from the other two players who are in there, and we're not trying to do that. That they're both absolutely unbelievable players. I just think, I think they've missed one on this one, but that's just me. Michael Hooper, like, you'd have him nearly shortlisted every year of his career for Joe from start to finish. I don't think this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. People who are watching this, please tell me in the comments why I am wrong. Let us know, because I thought it could have been two other people, but look, it is what it is, and we will see who wins. I would imagine DuPont.
I feel like it's going to be DuPont anyway.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
If he's not, if he doesn't win, we'll have a lot to talk about. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'd say that's the way it's going to go. Right. So we'll wrap this up in 5. I suppose the last thing we want to cover really would be, we did it last week as well. We touched on it, but we just want to talk about more. We covered on France, we covered on England, and we covered on Ireland. I want to talk about Wales. I want to talk about Italy. I want to talk about Scotland for the Six Nations. How are we looking, do you think? We'll start off. We'll go to Italy first. What's your view? Are they going to stink the place up again?
No.
Any hope?
No, I've said this hot take before, but I think Italy are moving in the right direction within the right realms, if that makes any sense. So for a long time, anytime they came out with a decent performance, it was because a group of players or select number of individuals just played out of their skin, and it just the rest of the team benefited. But I think where Italy's positives are coming from now are much more. There's much more longevity associated with them. So like, they're building the team at the moment around Paolo Garbisi, who has an incredible rugby IQ for such a young guy. He can anticipate what's going to happen 3 or 4 phases in advance. He's obviously incredible. If all else fails, he can just take it to the line and run himself. He's got a great kicking ability. It's good, not great. It needs a bit of work. But I think a team around him is good. Sorry, go on.
Am I being slightly ignorant here in saying this, or am I being slightly realistic? I'll let you make the
decide.
Yeah, as I said before, Wales are improving. It's 100%. Or Italy are improving 100%. I agree with you.
But
so is everyone else.
Yeah. Can they compete?
That's where I see the issues. But like, what I suppose, after my long-winded question, where do they finish? There we go. Where do they finish?
Yeah, I don't know. See, that's the other side of the coin again, because every time I think about how good Italy are getting on, like, Scotland are also making leaps and bounds. Like, for years, Scotland are also.
No, I'm kind of like,
Scotland are making. They're making some serious impact. But even their depth in their squad and stuff, like, it's
100%.
like, they kind of.
I don't think there was much between them and South Africa.
No, there really wasn't much between them.
There wasn't. Like, it was. It was execution and just being clinical.
That
was. And I know it sounds like, it's such a simple thing to do.
Yeah. What does that mean? Like,
it isn't. But if you said that to Scotland 10 years ago, there's only
3 points.
Two tries, a few points in the difference, and it's just how they finished off the game, and it'd snap your hand off.
Yeah.
Now Scotland are genuinely looking at South Africa coming to town, coming to Murrayfield. They're like,
they believe they can win.
Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, against the reigning world champions too, which is an interesting statistic, or an interesting point. But I think, I definitely think Scotland are making, Scotland could beat anyone this year. They really could. I think they could have / should have beaten us last year.
100%.
They beat Wales. They beat France. Sorry, they beat England. They beat France. They beat England in Twickenham. I know it was an empty Twickenham, but
they slightly have England's number recently. Not necessarily always winning, but they throw the kitchen sink and more at England every time they play. It's absolutely brilliant. I think that could be. I know that's not a hot take. Scotland, England being the game of the series, like it often actually is, or Ireland, England. But I actually think Scotland, France this year is the one I'm looking for.
Scotland, France, France will have a chip in their shoulder. When you think about it,
massively.
Considering, did that loss lose them the Six Nations? More or less, maybe not directly, but it definitely, because Wales won it. But
actually, do you know what?
I think it. I don't know, did it lose it for them, but it definitely was a negative note on what was otherwise a great tournament for them.
Yeah.
So listen, you'll have to see. I do think France are the front runners for this year's Six Nations, though. I think France are.
Yeah, you were
theirs
saying
to
that.
lose,
Okay, so that's okay. So they're the best team in terms of when they're on it. They're the best team. I don't think anyone's going to debate that at the moment. I just think, and I said this last week, I just think England have this weird way of just getting a result. It's like Mourinho in his prime. It's just it's not even nice. You don't even enjoy watching it. They're going to do it, aren't they? Just
ugly,
yeah, and I just look, we'll see. I just think England might have a bit more to them, a bit more mental fortitude than the French. That's the only thing I would argue about the French, is the French, when they're on top of it, are something else.
Yeah.
When adversity hits, they're a bit shaky. That's the only thing I would say about it.
But when you think about it, just thinking of the last couple of games, France put a good dent in New Zealand with a lot of key members missing.
Yeah.
Vakatawa wasn't there, Doolan wasn't there.
Yeah.
Olivon, their captain, wasn't there. But then again, England suffered. I think England suffered the injury of Tuilagi anyway against South Africa. Who else? Did anyone else get injured? The likes of Johnny May is kind of coming out of form a little bit. The likes of Owen Farrell, I believe, is gone now. He's gone with an ankle injury, so he'll probably be gone for the whole Six Nations. So it's going to be Marcus Smith, which could be fantastic, or could be.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Owen Farrell's out with an ankle injury, I believe. Yeah, I just remembered it there. I read it and forgot about it. But
so, you think Marcus Smith's going to be the answer there at 10?
I'd say he'll be their first choice anyway. I was very impressed with him originally against South Africa. I think he had a lot of great kicks.
You don't think Ford has anything to say?
Sorry?
You don't think Ford has anything to say, no?
Not at this stage, no. Not at this stage. Just when you think Marcus Smith has a premiership title under his belt, he's got a few England caps now. His trajectory is much more towards the England 10 shirt than Ford's would be.
And Ford. Fair.
But it's interesting. I think an England without Owen Farrell is a very different England.
I completely agree. I think he's actually one of the most underrated leaders in the game, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to mind his impact on just on the pitch, but in the dressing room, effectively everything. He like that classic snippet of the Lions tour back in the day when Paul O'Connell says, Owen Farrell is the youngest man on the tour and he's barking everyone around the pitch.
Sorry.
Joe, that just kind of embodies the spirit of Owen Farrell. He's so important to them, so that will be a massive loss.
Maybe a big loss, absolutely.
There you go. That's the beauty of rugby, isn't it? Like Marcus Smith, you would argue his trajectory could be better, and he's arguably more talent, and he's more off the cuff and mercurial. He has ridiculous ability, game-changing ability. You don't say that often about tens. However, there's a whole other aspect to it of mental strength, leadership, sticking in a game when it's not going your way. Like when he's getting hit heavy, hard, every time in the line. Every time he gets, like, if they're playing Scotland now, Marcus Smith, wear some big shoulder pads, buddy. You're going to get hit. And it's just how, it's knowing how to not lose your composure and just stay in that moment. That's, to me, going to be the big one. And if you can do that, the world's his oyster, because he has all the ability in the world.
And I believe he can. I believe he can be good, if not better than Owen Farrell. When you think of points off the tee, when you think of eventually inhabiting a leadership role and stuff. But like, I was thinking recently, like when Ronaldo first came to United, I'm speaking your language here now, Mark. When Ronaldo first came to United, they were like, "Oh, great, he's like another David Beckham." But hindsight now, that's a ridiculous statement, because he was so much better than David Beckham. Do you know, like he could absolutely completely prove us all wrong, and I hope he does. But you don't know. We've been wrong in the past, so you just don't know. But we'll see.
I never wish anyone to do bad, except for everyone in the Premier League, very United. But I never wish for anyone or any individual not to do well. But it worries me how good Marcus Smith and how good Intimac are, and we're just looking on the line of like, well, what do we have to offer? And again, it goes back. I'm not going on Carberry again. It's not. I just do think there are levels there, and it kind of worries me for the future. But look,
we'll see.
Deal with that when it comes. We have Sexton for now, don't we?
Yeah. So, Grandpa, Granddad,
Granddaddy Johnny. But So your dark horses are France. Or not dark horses, your favorite.
I think they're very bright horses, if anything.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not gonna deviate from England for the time being, to be honest. I think it's England. So look, we'll see. But that covers the breakdown for this week, and we'll be back again next week, where hopefully we will have a lot more updates on the COVID situation surrounding the Munster camp, and we will have more in-depth analysis on the upcoming Munster game that hopefully will go ahead, as Munster look forward to a European Championship match against the Wasps. We'll also look ahead to the Six Nations once again. We'll dissect that, and we will talk about all things rugby in next week's episode. So hopefully you can join us then. Thank you for tuning in once more. It's been myself, Mark Reilly, Benjamin Geary, Sport and Limerick. It's been the breakdown. Thank you, folks, and we'll see you next week. Preview.